On the record. Thanks, Ed. Call to order the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Present at the front table to my far left is Jessica Vitale, a
Good
voting
evening.
member. How you doing, Jess? Good. Next to Jessica is Ed McGargy, a voting member. To my left, Bill Malone, our solicitor. To my right, Jesse Poynton, a voting member.
Good evening.
We are normally a 5-member board. 1 member is absent tonight, but we'll go through that when you guys come up and get what your preference will be. Before we begin, Jesse, will you lead us in the pledge?
Kelly's also here.
Yeah, I skipped Kelly.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, Jesse points out to me that I forgot Kelly, the Super Executive Director of Zoning.
Perfect.
All right, Kel. We're going to get you that title. We have one continued case on the agenda tonight. It is case Z21-26, Kelly Music for Life, Inc., owners of 4-6 East Eagle Road, DC folio number 2203-00842000, who seek variances from the following provision for the installation of 2-paneled LED message board marquee sign, 10.6 square feet per side, to project 2.46 feet over the front entry door, section 182701E1B2, for a projecting sign to exceed 40% of signable area, section 182701B7, for a non-permitted animated sign, and section 182701E3 for the sign to be illuminated by multicolored LED lights where direct or indirect white light is permitted. Property is zoned C3 and located in the 3rd ward. Mr. Lavin, I presume. Please come forward.
Thank you. Good evening. As Mr. Kane said, my name is George Lavin, and I'm representing Kelly Music for Life tonight. The first thing I would like to do is tell you about all the changes that we made. Yes.
Before we do that, as Mr. Kane indicated, there are 4-member board tonight. 3 choices. One is to wait until your full 5-member board asks for continuance, which would be granted. The second is to proceed with a 4-member board knowing that the 2-2 vote would result in a denial of the application. The third would be to ask that the 5th member read the transcript of tonight's hearing and vote, making it essentially a 5-member board.
Okay. I think we're comfortable. Are you comfortable with the 4-member board? Yes, sir. We're set to go. Thank you. Okay. As I was saying, what I'd like to do is first, we made an application, but since we made that application, we have had some changes in the design. And before the hearing, what I did was hand Kelly 3 new exhibits, numbered 1 through 3. The first exhibit, I believe, is a copy of the design for the new sign. The second exhibit is essentially one of the reasons we're asking for the variance. The New Avenue Cafe is housed in the Kelly Music Center up on Darby Road and Darby and Eagle. And it's a foundation that supports people with disabilities. So a lot of the workers there in the daytime, in fact, probably all to most, which Mr. Kelly can talk about, are disabled to some amount. So one of the reasons that we would like to present for a justification of a digital sign is the disabilities of the people, their inability to climb a ladder and change a typical matinee type sign like you see around. The digital sign will essentially be a matinee type sign. The third exhibit is a letter from the Historical Commission and discussing the changes of design that we've made since the last submission to them. They initially thought it was a good idea, asked us to refine the design a little bit more before the last hearing, and then have now agreed to the design that we're proposing with the contingency that the reason they're allowing it is because of the unique staff employed at the Kelly Center and the New Avenue Cafe that do have disabilities. So that's a quick summary.
George, in terms
Yes.
of the variances requested.
Yes.
Does the sign, size of the sign,
The,
has it been changed in any way?
yes, it has. And the structure of the sign, it used to be a triangular design that you'll see in the application if you flip back through some of the exhibits in the original. It was actually a triangular sign that had two sides that pointed out and protruded about 30 inches. Now the proposed design is flat against the wall and does not protrude out. So, I think all the variances apply except for the extension of the protruding sign.
Right, so my
Yeah.
question is, have you actually reduced the requested variances in terms of size
Pro-
and the projection?
The projection part of it, yes, but as I read the code, it's projection of animated signs, so sort of, I guess would be my answer. I don't.
You're not asking for anything more than you initially asked for?
No, not at all. And
I
in
just
fact,
wanted to make sure.
probably less. This sign only protrudes 5 inches out from the building,
Okay.
where the other one protruded out 30 inches.
Thank you.
Okay.
With that, the reason I asked that board is just to make sure there was no notice issues. You can always reduce it. If you
Yes.
have to react.
So, and, essentially what happened is what I described. We had a design that the Historical Commission liked but asked us to refine it, so we did that after the last meeting we had, which is why we asked for the adjournment. We've come back, and I think the letter is dated relatively recently. It came out in the last couple of days. So, and as I read it, and I don't want to testify, but it seems to that they are approving the new design, and with the contingency that the unique makeup of the staff at the Kelly Center and the New Avenue Cafe, in their mind, helps justify a digital sign there, as opposed to crawling up on a ladder and putting plastic letters in a marquee type sign. So, and I guess I wanted to just address, before we get into it too far, the difference between animated and digital. As I read the code, animated means there's movement on the sign, and it has moving, figures or a cartoon or something up there. We are not proposing an animated sign. We're proposing pretty much a static sign, but one that can be changed once or twice a day if need be. But the letters aren't going to move. Once they're up there, they're up there. So it's not, as I read the definition of animated signs, an animated sign.
And George, are there
Yeah.
projected or proposed hours that the sign will be illuminated versus not illuminated?
Yes, we're looking to do it at nighttime, and Tom will testify about when they would shut it down or things like that. And we can also regulate the illumination and the lumens coming out of the sign. So, he's willing to, I don't think we know what that is right now, the brightness of the sign, but, we will regulate it so it's not shining like a spotlight on the street up there. So makes the lettering visible and what we want to see visible. So we'll definitely agree to restrictions on that. The other variances is, and let me see if I can just page through this real quick. I think you have a copy of, there we go.
So
There's-
for the purposes of
Sure.
marking the exhibits, you've handed 3 exhibits.
I have.
You identified them.
Yes.
Well, you referred to them as 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
We add the designation A for applicant. So they'll be
Okay.
A1, A2, A3.
Perfect. I apologize for
No,
that.
no, that's okay.
Yep.
And it looks like you're referring to exhibit A1. now.
Yes, and the third page of that, which shows, the first 2 pages are the close-up of the sign itself. The second one is the cross-section of it and shows the width at 5 inches. And the third page of that sign basically shows the proposed installation of the sign above the door to the cafe. And one of the variances we're asking for is the 40% of signable area. This, as I read the ordinance, it would be 40% of the distance between the 2 windows. But we believe this, even though it does exceed that 40%, is the right look and feel for that design. We could have probably made the 40%, but Tom, when he renovated the space, he added all those glass windows up top. So that cut down on the signable area.
And am I correct that you're not looking, as I look at this, you're not looking for multicolored LED lights any
No.
longer?
As you look at the sign there, the part that says Kelly Center to the left, that is fixed, that will never change. The only changeable part, the only digital part is the matinee board, the white with the black letters. So the Kelly Center for Music and Arts and Community will remain the same, that's static, that will always be there. The part on the right will be changeable to announce different events and things like that.
So the Kelly Center sign.
Yes.
That will be lit.
That's-
How will that be lit?
That's backlit with typically how they build them with the letters and things like that, so that'll be backlit, but it'll all be the same.
But it's.
It'll
it's
stay the same, that
completely-
never changes, yeah.
Completely static.
That's physical, yeah.
And the one on the right, the changing sign,
Yes,
is it only black and white?
that will be, well, it can be different colors, but we're saying we will only use it in that format. The black and white, sort of like an old-fashioned matinee sign. So, yeah.
Please continue.
Okay.
your case.
Let me see, I think that's really the summary of my opening. We were going to have Stacy Maddox from the Historical Commission come also, but she ran into a snag, so you have the letter, and we can have Tom testify about the meetings they had and the changes they made and things like that, so.
Well, the letter.
Yes.
Has certain conditions that they suggested.
Yes,
Did you, or do you plan to adopt all of their?
yes, we do.
They call them stipulations.
Yes, we do. And we've got that on the board also. The only other exhibit you have that's not on the computer here is some excerpts and backgrounds about the New Avenue Cafe and the foundation it supports and the workers there. So you have some references to that.
Could you stipulate what those conditions or stipulations were that they?
I can. Let me find the, okay. I can. I would say one of them is that, in general, their approval is based on the makeup of the staff that will be there, you know, with the disabled people. So that is one of their conditions for approving it for us, but they do not want other people to apply, because the reason they're saying it's a good idea is because of the makeup of the staff in this center.
So what was the specific stipulation, that 50% of the staff, 60%, whatever the case may be?
I think we can let Tom testify to that. I'm not sure of the exact makeup, but he can testify as to the makeup of the staff. But I believe everybody in the New Avenue Cafe, basically the daytime staff, has some manner of disability.
But the Historical Commission didn't impose or suggest any ratio?
They did
Okay.
not.
They
did
just
not.
broadly said,
Yep,
okay.
yep. The other condition is, you know, they have in their letter, number 2, is no animated or flashing lights. Should not project as far enough away from the wall that except as to require backlighting, and we've got it 5 inches from the wall. I see, number 3 is, yeah, as I discussed, I'm looking at it here in front of me, it's on the left side, but the Kelly Center side will be fixed and won't change. Number 4 is a wood frame around it, which we're still working on the design of the wood frame, but this is the mechanics of it. So there will be a wood frame of Tom's liking, and hopefully everyone else's liking around the sign. And the last is, it's really not a condition, but they're suggesting that we possibly put Gooseneck Lights above it, sort of like above Burke's Tavern up there. They have some Gooseneck Lights above their signs, and we're not sure.
That's not
Yeah.
a stipulation that
Yes.
you're bound by, and do you
Correct.
intend to do that?
I'm not sure yet. We'll have Tom answer that. I'm not sure if he wants to, you know, I I think it would be based on the look and feel once we get it up there, because the sign's actually, oops, excuse me. It's actually between, you can see up above it, they're two protruding.
Yes.
It's
It's internally lit, it's
Yeah,
backlit.
backlit
And the other one's a digital.
Yep, yeah. So I don't think we need them, but we'll leave that up to Tom. So, if you don't have any questions for me, I would call up Tom Kelly as a witness, but go ahead.
Mr. Levin,
Yes.
could you, for the record, could you maybe correct item number 3? I think you referred to the left-hand side. I believe that they're referring to side B as the right-hand side. Could we?
Well, it depends which way you're looking at it. So, as I'm looking at it, mounted on the wall, it's going to be on the left-hand side. The part that says Kelly Center for Music, Arts, and Community, the black part.
Jesse, it's
that will be
labeled as
static.
B on the exhibit.
Yeah, there's a section marked B. I mean, reading number 3 from the letter, it says the message portion, side B, will be black letters on a white background with no animation. So I took
I'm
that to
sorry,
be-
that is correct, and we
Okay.
agree to that, yes.
Okay,
So
I took-
we want to have it look like an old-fashioned matinee sign with white back and black letters. I mean, we might not have caps, we might have caps and small letters, but besides that, it'll be that way, and we agree to that,
Understood. Thank you very much.
okay?
Mr. Kane?
Yep,
Can I
yes.
ask Kelly a question?
Sure.
Kelly, the allowable sign area, based on the zoning code, it appears that it's 35 square feet per frontage. So is it 40% of that, or is it 40% of wall area that would allow for a sign?
So if you look at the defined term of signable area.
Is your mic on?
It is. It describes exactly what we're talking about, which is that little section in between the windows. So it's essentially blank wall area that isn't obscured or, in the way of architectural features such as windows, cornices, et cetera, et cetera. So exactly where they're putting the sign is where the signable area is, but they would only be permitted to have 40%, despite the fact that they have actually 2 storefronts because of the windows.
Because of the window.
that Were part of the renovations as a recommendation from the Historical Commission.
Understood, thank you.
Cal, and if you don't know, that's cool, but I may as well ask.
Got it.
If the windows were not there,
They would have much larger signable area, yes.
would they need to be here?
For the LED message board portion, absolutely yes.
But not for this sign?
But not for the, likely not for the size, depending on what the signable area would have been at that point.
Okay,
Okay,
floor is yours.
all right. Call up Mr. Kelly.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Thomas Kelly, 139 East Hathaway Lane, Havertown, Pennsylvania.
Okay, George.
Good evening, Mr. Kelly. I'm going to kind of start at the end and then loop back to the beginning. If you could, just describe what the purpose of the Kelly Center for Music, Arts, and Community is, and how the New Avenue Cafe fits into it, and how you came up with that idea.
Sure. We've been producing music festivals in Haverford Township for the last 10 years. The nonprofit organization, Kelly Music for Life, has done outdoor events to raise money to support local arts initiatives at the high school, the orchestra, the film club, the computer club, things like that, and other nonprofits around the area. Our objective was to ultimately get an indoor space that was weather resistant to do activities to continue our work. When we identified this space, we liked the model of a cafe, and one of our friends who has helped us at different festivals, Jim Worster, he started a Worster, Worster.
Not like Worcestershire.
Right. Jim has a daughter who's severely autistic, and as a parent, He decided after his career as a computer programmer that he wanted to do something for people with disabilities. In thinking a succession plan for himself, his daughter was basically unemployable, and so many others are also. So he proposed an idea to occupy a space inside the Kelly Center to run a cafe and employ people with different abilities, and give them an opportunity to start to build a resume and become job worthy. We embrace this idea. I think it's ideal. It is in line with our mission, because part of what we do is we put some of those folks up on stage from time to time and let them perform. So the cafe operates on a daily basis in there from 9 to 1, and always has employees or workers. Some of the workers that are in there with a friend or an aide that helps them learn how to wipe tables, do cafe maintenance sort of things. People seem to embrace it in the township. They like it. They like the opportunity for people for people with disabilities to have something worthwhile. We even put their pictures up on the wall. There's 10 of them that are in there, and they rotate through. But we make stars out of them, and we make celebrities out of them, and a lot of them, it's a real feel-good thing for them. That's why we put the cafe in the Kelly Center and gave the cafe to him. He pays minimal rent, but that's okay with us. Our 501c3 is funded by grants and donations, and we do some ticketed events in there. And part of our mission is actually to support his mission as well.
So are you a 501c3, Kelly Music for Life, Inc.?
Yes.
And what's Kelly Music for Life, Inc.'s legal relationship with the nonprofit? Or are they one and the same?
Well, Kelly Music for Life is the nonprofit that owns the building. We lease the space, the cafe space, to the New Avenue Foundation, which is also a nonprofit, but separate from our nonprofit.
And just for the board's enlightenment, and I saw Mr. Kane was looking through it, we did provide you with an exhibit. I think it's is that 2? Exhibit 2. That are excerpts from both the Kelly Center's website and the foundation's website, so you can have reference to that. One of the things I can show you, if it, and I apologize, but the prior design, which was submitted with the application, if you all can see it, was more of the door. So the change we made was to put that back and not have it protrude and just have one panel as opposed to 2.
And just as a resident of this town, I was interested in working closely with the Historical Commission. I live around the corner from this district, and it's in my best interest to see this district improved. So when we bought the building, myself and the architect went before the Historical Commission to go over the plan with them. They made some suggestions, we made revisions, and when we finally got it open, we were planning on talking about a sign, but then the pandemic hit and the world stopped. So now we're back again.
And I guess for the board's information, as part of our application, we put a number of exhibits of similar matinee type signs that are not digital, and other digital signs that the township has approved in the past.
So, George?
Yes.
I mean, we follow fairly formal exhibit rules.
Okay.
Rules of evidence, whatever you want to call it. So the application's not in. If you want to mark it.
Okay, we can mark that as Exhibit 3 then, or 4, I'm sorry. Sure, thank you. And I don't know if you want to go into details on them. Okay.
If we're going to refer to it.
Sure.
Look at it for the record.
Okay, so if we can mark that as Exhibit 4,
the zoning application with all the attachments is gonna be one exhibit, A4. If it gets too confusing, I'll bust it out and mark them individually, but I don't anticipate that it will.
A4.
And
Sound good?
And I'll just ask Mr. Kelly about I think, did you take the pictures of the digital signs and other matinee boards in the township, or somebody that works for you?
I did. I went around the township and took pictures of the signs.
Okay, and if you can just in general describe what type of signs, or a few for the panel's benefit that were attached in the application.
Yeah, some of them are the manual type signs where you've got to manually change the letters, whether it's the Barnaby sign or the Rusty Nail signs. Those are the manual letter signs. I also took pictures of some of the digital signs that are in the township. Grace Chapel has one. The AMDG floor or design at the corner of Eagle Road and Haverford Road has a digital sign. Even I took the picture of the one in front of the Brookline Fire Company. They have a digital sign out there that they advertise time and temperature, pancake breakfast, whatever. So those are some examples of signs. Ours is not designed to do what some of the digital signs do in the township. Ours is designed more to do what the old style plastic letter signs do.
Thanks, Tom. As far as your intent and your intended use, I don't want to say limitations, but how often do you intend to change what's seen in the digital portion of the time?
Once a
of the
day.
sign?
Once a day.
Okay. Even if there's a bunch of typos and things like that? I'm teasing. Yes, that's primarily how about lights and on and off and things like that, illumination of the sign?
The sign can be dimmed based on daylight hours, and they're smart enough now that the lights will dim. If it's a cloudy, overcast day, it can get a little bit brighter. If it's a bright, sunny day, it'll dim things down. And then at night, of course, we can dim it down even more so that it's not throwing off any more light than what the street lights are throwing off on the road.
And is it fair to say at this point in time you're not aware of what type of lumens or what type of brightness would apply?
I'm not
At
an
this
expert.
point.
I'm not an expert in that field, so I don't know.
Well, then we'll have to leave it vague unless one of the board members wants to ask for the information, because I think we probably all have a different perception of what dimming it means or whatever, but without lumen, some objective measurement. I would ask you this, though, Tom. If neighbors complain about this for some reason, would you dim it further? And
Yes.
work with them to resolve it?
Yes.
'Cause one of the examples you gave in here, the Grace Chapel, I think, or not Grace Chapel, one of the other churches, they keep it bright, and they said they dimmed it, but the neighbor, where the light flashes into their home, doesn't feel that it's dim enough, and it creates animosity between people. But
Right.
as long as you have some willingness to,
Can we go off the record for 1 second?
sure. Lobian
There we go.
response. When the red light is on, we move.
What lawyers do, we just speak whenever we want to. Mr. Kelly, to follow up in that regard and simply to provide some parameters or details, or even if you wanted to call it protection for the township and this board, should they wish to approve this, would you be willing to accept a stipulation that should any complaints regarding the lumens or the degree of lighting be brought to the attention of the township through the codes office, that you would agree that the township engineer could review the lumens, and you would be bound by the township engineer in terms of whether or not you have dimmed it enough, the lighting?
Yes. I mean, I think that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, anybody can complain about anything, but,
Right.
you know, so, but if there's some science involved in the complaint, I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
Mr. Malone, one qualification, I think there's going to be different lumens and brightnesses in the daytime as opposed to the nighttime, so I just wanted to add that. No complaints, but.
Right, it would be an overall thing, so,
Yep.
yes.
Um, We've been through the changes. Let's talk a little bit about the process you went through with the Historical Commission. If you could just describe for the panel what happened. I did at the beginning, but from your perspective, what happened and what did you do and what was the result?
Well, when we, like I said, when we first did the original design, we went to the Historic Commission. We went back when we finally got out of the pandemic and to talk to them about a sign idea that we had or a sign that we wanted to propose. They looked at it. They understood the need for coming up with a digital solution because of the nature of the workforce that we have there, the staff that would be responsible for changing the sign. However, after consideration, they said they would rather not protrude out like a marquee. Originally, they said, you know, this looks pretty neat. It could look like an old theater marquee, and, you know, the old historic approach seemed attractive. They even told us that, you know, if you just did red letters and black letters like the old theater marquees did, that would be great. But after they talked about it among themselves, they really felt uncomfortable with something that protruded out over the sidewalk, and they wanted to have something flat against the building. And so we came up with this new design, and they approved. They liked it. It accomplishes what we're trying to accomplish, and I think it's in line with what their suggestions are.
Okay. And when you say they approved it, are you referring to the
Oh, yeah, I'm
letter
sorry.
dated October 19th that we've marked and given to the panel, I believe is exhibit number 3?
Yes, that's correct, George. Exhibit number 3 outlines the conversations and meetings that we had with them.
And you're willing to agree with the stipulation and the parameters that they list in the letter?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay. I think that's really all we have. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet if you all
The
have.
other lights, if you want to ask about the other lights. If not, doesn't matter.
Oh, the gooseneck lights?
the gooseneck.
Yes, the gooseneck lights. What's your thought on the gooseneck lights?
The gooseneck lights would be mostly decorative if they were put on our side of the street. None of the other buildings on our side of the street have them. They are on the other side of the street, but the other side of the street is, there's no second floor dormers on the other side of the street.
What purpose would they serve? I mean, the lights are internally lit.
I got the impression it was more of a decorative thing, so we don't have electricity up there in the brick, so we'd have to run electricity up to a light to light it, whereas on the other side at Burke's and Tom Wiedeman's architecture place, they have the old gooseneck lights along that whole block above the rock. So they like that look, but I don't know that it really fits on our side. If it's a stipulation of getting approval, we could put one up there, but I think it would be out of place on our side of the street because our side of the street is all second floor dormers. They pop out.
Couple more questions while we're going through the letter. Number 2, in the Historical Commission's letter, as far as animation, flashing lights and things like that, could you explain why you don't want to do that and agree that you will not do that with the sign?
Yeah, I know the signs may be capable of doing things that we have no intention of using them for. You could do some illegal things with a pair of scissors, but, that doesn't mean you're allowed to. Our view is we want to have a changeable sign so that we can, I think it fits the historic nature of the block, that we can say, happening Friday night or Saturday night. But It's a matter of safety for the people that work there. And we also think this is a much cleaner look. It'll give us a much cleaner look than some of the old traditional plastic letter signs.
Okay. Mr. Kelly, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
If your application was approved, would you agree to a condition that no third-party advertising be presented on that?
Absolutely,
sign?
absolutely.
Only that which relates to your business.
Absolutely.
Jessica?
One of the Historic Commission's stipulations was that you would be adding a wood frame to the sign. Is that going to increase the overall dimension of the sign that you have?
No, no, the intent is to trim it out. We didn't, or the Historic Commission didn't stipulate what color the trim should be. It kind of shows in black right now, but if they would prefer to have it in brown trim, I mean, that's fine with me.
Okay, but the area won't increase with the trim?
No.
It'll be within the original sign? area.
Correct, yeah.
And then for this, the part of the sign that's changeable, those letters will be black. Is that the intent?
The changeable side, the right
Yes.
side? Yes, the intent is for them to be black.
Okay.
Like George said, maybe not all capitals. As a matter of fact, one of the members of the Historic Commission suggested that we use a mix of uppercase and lowercase. But it's shown here in the drawing as all caps.
Okay. And then, do you currently have a lease agreement with the New Avenue Cafe?
Yes.
And is that for how long of a time is the lease?
Technically, it's year to year.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so first with Kelly. Kelly, do we have a limit on the size of the sign? I thought we had 15 square feet,
In C3, it's actually 35 square.
35 square
Yes.
feet. Okay, good. So 35 square feet, and you're proposing 19.5.
Right.
So the only reason you need a variance is because of this signable area.
Right, and that's, when we met with the Historic Commission, we actually blew out the solid part of that and put those paned windows in, because the Historic Commission really liked that design. That's more in line with the historic nature of that block, the small glass block windows up there. What it did was it cut down technically the signable area, whereas if we left it solid, we could have had much more signable area. But we really like the architectural look of this and the design of this.
As long as you're talking about looks, would you accept the condition that you only change it once a day? So that would be probably a condition we'll add if we approved it. One of the things that Haverford Township allows you to do is window signage. I think it looks more unsightly than this would look. So if
Are you talking about what's already there?
well, no, not what's already there. Like if you would take that sign and put it on your window,
Oh, yeah,
you're allowed to do that.
Right.
It's on the inside.
right.
And the limits are 35 square feet is not limited by that sign. So if you could reduce the amount of window signage, that would be just blatant advertising.
Yeah,
A
well,
little coffee cup like that looks nice.
the other stuff, all the paper in the window is announcing upcoming shows and, what the cafe is offering. I agree with you. We really want to clean up the windows. There's some windows on that street that are just horrible looking because they're just too cluttered. We want to clean up the windows, and that's part of what we'll be able to do with the sign. If we get approval to do the sign, we won't have to put paper signs inside.
And the issue of what would be on the sign, I seen the condition you agreed to was a third party. Can you have any examples of what you talked with your the cafe about? What type of messages would they put? It would only be advertising things that they want to have there?
The way I said it, information relating to the conduct of their business at that location. So no third-party advertising. So I can't buy that to advertise my business.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that part, but the other part about, you see churches where they put messages up as opposed to just themes, and that sometimes they could be attractive nuisances too. What types of things would you plan to put on that sign that you already know that you might be doing?
Yeah, we would want to put on that sign what's happening inside the cafe. Maybe they're doing a Valentine's Day special, buy a cup of coffee, get a second one free, something like that. Messages about what we're doing inside. It may be shows. We've done art shows in there. So it would advertise what we're doing in the cafe. You would never see a Coca-Cola logo on there or anything like that. We're not interested in selling space on our sign. We're interested in just using the sign to communicate what we're doing inside the space.
Very
And if
good.
it extends, some of the things that we do in there, we'll host community meetings, whether it's Haverford Township Civic Council, other nonprofits will do meetings in there. If it's deemed appropriate, that would be technically a third party, but it's not a commercial third party. I would think that something like that might be acceptable, unless you deem otherwise. But if the Haverford Township Civic Council is doing a meeting in there, a public meeting in there, that may be something that we might want to put on the sign. But they wouldn't be buying that. We would not be charging them rent to rent the room. We would be giving them space and giving them, some signage.
And would that just be limited, for example, to if there was a meeting on a particular day, it would just be that day that it would be up there that indicating meeting tonight for the,
Precisely.
Civic Association from 9 to whatever
Right.
time it is.
Right.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Jesse?
I think all my questions have been addressed. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you.
Can I actually add one more question? I'm sorry. You didn't say exactly what hours the sign would be lit, just that it will be dimmed at night. What time do you intend to turn the sign off at night?
Honestly, I don't see any reason to keep it on past midnight. I mean, we turn off the music at 10 o'clock at night. There's nothing that happens in there after 10 o'clock. I think as a service to us for traffic that's driving by after 10 o'clock, that might be a good time to change the sign over for what's happening the next day. But like I said, there's no activity in there after 10 o'clock at night. So, I would like to leave it on until midnight. I think Cat's Pharmacy leaves theirs on almost 24 hours a day. It's on overnight. But I don't see a need for us to do that. It's, we're not lighting up a corner like they are.
Okay, and if we were to put a condition that the sign would turn off at 11, would that be acceptable?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Ed?
Nothing else.
Jesse?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
George, you have anything to add?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you very
Thanks, Tom.
much.
With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify, anyone present that received regular mail, any other residents of Haverford Township? All the boxes checked. With that, we'll close the record on this case, and a decision will be rendered either this evening, or in the event that we're not able to reach a decision this evening, one would be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting on November 4th? November 4th. You guys want to go chat for a couple minutes?
We go off the record, and we're good.
We all have our roles. Okay. We'll resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, October 21, 2021. Wait a minute. The date's 10/21/21. Wish I played the lottery. All right. With respect to case Z21-26, Kelly Music for Life, Inc. I'm not going to read the rest of the description into the record unless someone specifically requests that I do so. I would ask, are you prepared to, Jessica,
I am.
Ed,
Yes.
Jesse,
I am.
and so am I. Jesse, would you please take this decision?
Gladly. With regards to case Z21-26, I would vote to approve the requested variances with the following conditions. Number 1, no third-party advertising will be permitted. Number 2, if complaints are registered regarding brightness of the sign to the codes office, the township's engineer will be consulted, and the applicant shall abide by the engineer's determination. Number 3, the sign will be turned off at 11 p.m. Number 4, the sign will change no more than once per day. Number 5, side B of the sign will be limited to black characters on a white background. Number 6, if there is a change of use, the applicant shall return to this board for a determination as to whether the sign is still allowable. Number 7, the project will be completed within 1 year. And number 8, it will be completed in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Jessica,
I agree.
Ed,
I concur.
and so do I. That application is approved with those conditions, 4-0. Any other administrative matters or anything we need to discuss? All right, then we're adjourned.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Luck.